This is a 2001 Gerber Aqua-Saver. Standard height, round. The older design, before they implement, I guess, what they would call the siphon jet design. Well, I mean, that's what that is, but more traditional looking trap. I have it on a corky adjustable flapper, which is set roughly to act close to 1.6 gallons. You can see I have it filling to the top of the overflow tube. And this handle, which I forget what this is from, but it ain't coming out, so. I'd say it's about how it's supposed to be, which is why I think these corky adjustable flappers are pretty nice. Since they're not like the Fluid Masters, they have an actual hole you can adjust in 2 different ways. But I'm going to do just some basic tests on this. These aren't that special, but I wanted to document my example. So I'm going to start with the red rag. Testing this on my own, it doesn't perform super great. It does all right. So, see how it does on this. Yeah, no problem there. My presumption is that the trapway has either a barb in it or it's simply too restrictive. Since, as you'll see in some later tests, stuff just gets stuck either at the beginning or somewhere in the first or second bend here. So now I'm gonna move on to the gray one. I have no idea where my other gray rag went. I was doing tests earlier, so it's around here somewhere. I'm going to try a grocery bag, and since this one's new, since I don't really do this, and it does have some holes in it, I do not expect it to take it through, but let's see what it does anyway. Yeah, I mean, this is a thicker, newer bag, and I've had some take it, but yeah, I doubt this one's gonna do that. So now, I'm going to try these white microfibers over here. Now I have 2 of these little microfibers, and they're not that big, but I know how this is going to perform. That's all it ever does. Those microfibers are easy for most things to pass, and yet this refuses to do it. I'm thinking it's a barb, with how hard it gets stuck. Since even when I have to plunge it to get it out, it just doesn't come out. So I'm gonna give it a second shot at this, and then we're gonna try some golf balls. I have to count how many golf balls I have again, but we'll work up until it stops taking them all. Here's 4. I knew that wasn't going to be a problem. Let's add 3 more. I am noticing if I don't place them a certain way, they will get stuck at the opening. So it did 7. I guess let's try 9. I presume they're going to get stuck at the opening, and if they do, I'll flick them to get them to all go through. Never mind. It did it completely on its own. So the max I have is 11. So I guess we'll try that. There's all 11. Okay, let's give that another try. I know it can do it. If it gets some of the swirl correctly, excuse me, they'll all go through. So, let's see if I just do that. Let's try it again, one more time. Yeah, it's not going to do it without help, but it has enough to pass them all through as long as they don't get stuck. So, the only last test I can think of is dried grass and maybe something else. I'll have to figure that out. There's about a handful's worth. I mean, considering how much it had to deal with, that did all right. And again, this is as closely set up to 1.6 as I can. I can reduce its water usage even more, but then I feel like it becomes impractical. These are some hole saw scraps, and they're small enough, shorter than that I presume they should be able to get through. Did fine on that. There it is with the lid on it. The handle doesn't look half bad, and I forget exactly what this is from. Figured it out before, but the lid being on it prevents the seat from running into the handle, which is why you heard the lever creaking, because I had to push it down and pull it back up. But for one of the final tests, let me get these pieces of wood out of the way. I have 2 rubber gloves, and we're going to start with one. Which it did fine with. So now I'm going to do 2. That first glove wasn't aired up. The second one was. So I'm going to try that again. That's more like it. This is going to be more of a two-handed affair, but I have the 11 golf balls in a 5-gallon bucket, and I'm going to try releasing them in while it's flushing and see if it'll take them all that way. And yes, it can. It's simply them getting stuck at the bottom that causes problems. So this thing does all right. Take a look at the bottom of the trapway here. And what do we have? Yeah. I mean, it's a smaller opening, which explains its slower siphon. That's probably how it was made so siphonic. Here's the tank lid. No real writing on it. And there's no real water line. See how that flapper works. I didn't have the pipe in place, but the floor slants it. It all ends up in there anyway. Let me place the pipe back in place here. This fill valve. I do think those flappers are a pretty neat idea. If I shut the water off here and open it up, you can see I have the front open. If I take it out all the way, there's a bunch of different settings, and I forget where the arrow is. There it is. So I have it set to number 2, and number 1 is the biggest hole. But number 2 is where I found it works best, so it's more of something you gotta play with. But I think these are definitely a little bit better than the Fluidmaster versions. I don't know if that's what this came with when I got it. Whatever it was so rotted and the ears had ripped off, so I just threw it out. That's really it for this 2001 Gerber Aqua-Saver.